Hello everyone, welcome back on my YouTube channel. Today in this video we are going to learn about types of risk. In previous video we already discussed about the risk and the factor which influence a risk. So here we will discuss types of risk. First risk, first type of risk is an inherent risk. Inherent risk is a risk where an organizations have not implemented any type of controls or any countermeasure on a process which can be impacted by a risk is known as a inherent risk. So we can say this is a risk before implementing some control or as an gross risk. Gross risk before applying any control is known as a inherent risk. Next, control risk. Control risk is a risk where an entity have implemented some controls to protect a particular process or a system, but that control are not working either or working but are not efficient, not sufficient to protect that system or process from any risk, or maybe that are not much efficient to prevent the risk is known as a control risk. So here controls are implemented but the controls are not effective to protect the system from a risk is known as a control risk. Next, residual risk. Residual risk is a risk after applying controls, the risk which remains. Like a risk, gross risk is there. We have applied some controls, but after having the controls working effectively, some risk is also remain is known as a residual risk. So residual risk is remaining after applying controls. We can also say it as an net risk. Detection risk. Detection risk is a risk of not detecting a risk. So where an auditor is fails to detect a risk due to an ineffective audit plan is known as a detection risk. Here it will be depend on auditor's judgment whether he can find or not. So the risk was there but auditor could not find it is known as a detection risk. Next, audit risk. What is the audit risk? So audit risk is a risk. It is the gross sum of the all risk like inherent detection risk and control risk. So in this case, auditor can issue unqualified audit report despite he should issue a qualified audit report because of having some error or a fraud in the system of the organization. So this is the sum of inherent risk, control risk and detection risk. Let's discuss one by one in detail. Inherent risk. So inherent risk we already discussed that due to an inherent risk one of the system or activity would pose a risk if the internal controls are not implemented on that system. This is also known as a gross total risk and it is a risk before applying control is known as a inherent risk. Is control risk. Control risk is the risk that controls are implemented but that controls are not able to detect or prevent a risk. So due to that control risk a misstatement can be occur. We can say this as a ineffective controls. Controls are implemented but are not working properly or controls are not effective to detect the risk. Residual risk is the risk remaining after applying controls. So this is the risk remain after implementation of the control is not known as a residual risk. We also can say this as a net risk, gross total risk less risk detected prevented by applying the control. Detection risk. Detection risk is a type of risk. Risk was exist there, but auditor could not detect it due to ineffective audit plan is known as a detection risk. We also known it as ineffective audit. Audit risk. So audit risk is a sum total of all types of risk like inherent detection and control risk. Here auditor can issue a unqualified audit report due to an error or fraud in the financial statement. Auditor was not able to detect it because there was a fraud case. It was a fraud case because auditors are watchdog, not a bloodhouse. So audit risk is sum of inherent control and detection risk. Discuss some questions on types of risk. The susceptibility of a business or process to make an error that is material in nature, assuming there were no controls. So question is asking about there is no control. If there is no internal controls, which type of risk it would be? Inherent control, detection or correction. So the correct answer is inherent risk. Any risk before applying the control is known as a inherent risk. Next question is decision and action of an IS auditor are mostly affected which of the following risk. So any risk which is affected by the decision of the IS auditor is known as a detection risk. Due to auditor's action, if a risk could not be detected, that is known as a detection risk. Next, the risk of an IS auditor certifying existence of proper system and procedure without using an adequate test procedure is an example of a detection risk. Means here auditor fails to apply adequate test procedure and detect the weakness in the system is known as a detection risk because he is certifying the document that the proper system is exist and without using a proper adequate test is known as a detection risk because there may be some risk. Next, log review may not result in timely detection and correction of the error. This is an example. Means there is a control is exist but the control is not working. Log review are there but they are not in result to timely detection and correction of the error is type of error. Controls are there but they are not working effectively, so this is a type of control risk. Next question is the risk that the control put in place will not prevent detect an error on timely basis. Again this is the type of control risk because there is a control but that is not able to correct, detect or detect an error on timely basis. Thank you for watching. For more such kind of videos, please like and subscribe my YouTube channel and also don't forget to share your colleagues who are preparing for DISA examination. Thank you. Bye bye.